Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, my fellow Chibits. Today, I'm here to bring you the weekly manga chapter review of Tokyo Ghoul Re, chapter 33. So, today I have the chapter pulled up for I can be able to go through each individual section and break it down, because Tokyo Ghoul is that type of series where I need to just have it right here for I can process what is going on and remember everything before I can tell you all what is going on and, do a good review of the chapter. So, right off the bat, I just want to talk to you about one of the main themes of this chapter. One of the main themes is inbreeding. Yeah, I'm not joking. Like, I'm straight up not joking. I'm really not. Let me explain. You have this word pop up. Like, I don't really know how to pronounce it, to be honest. I didn't even know what the fucking word was. Like, when Shu's father starts speaking on the first page, he's like, as a result of repeated consanguineous... I'm probably butchering that, but the thing is, like, I didn't know what that word was. So I decided to do, just research what that was. Like, I looked it up, because, like, okay, so I gotta know this shit. Like, what does it mean? Come to find out, it's pretty much inbreeding. That's pretty much what it is. Like, so we come to find out that Shu's family has been inbreeding for generations. And it makes sense if you think about what Shu's father says right after what he states. He says this: RRC cells have a genetic vulnerability that makes them easily interfered with. So, because of the inbreeding, it causes it to where their RC cells are kind of fucked up. And it causes it to where Shu's family can't become full Kakuja ghouls, according to Shu's father. So, here's the thing. With this first page alone, I'm just going to call it the first page. With this first page alone, it clarifies a couple things. For one thing, Shu, he's an incest baby. Okay. We also come to find out that Shu's father is hinted at, it's not clarified, like it's not confirmed, but it's hinted at, that Shu's father has some form of Kakuja. He either is a half Kakuja user, or he is a full Kakuja user, one or the other. But Shu's father is a Kakuja user. That's what this chapter hints at. This first fucking page hints at, because of the way the father speaks and talks to Kanye in the chapter, and then, how he can make Shu go to a full Kakuja mode, or try to get a Kakuja. So that's kind of what the first part of this chapter actually tries to do, and let us know as the readers of the series. But the thing was, though, at the moment, Shu's going down a path to where this can end up pretty bad. For instance, if he continues to be a foul leader according to Shu's father, he's going to go fucking insane, which we're already starting to see slight things like that in recent scenes we have seen him in. For instance, if you don't know, half Kakuja supposedly makes ghouls go insane. I mean, look what happened to Kaneki when he went to centipede mode, half Kakuja. And so, similar things are happening to Shu. Because now, with the last chapter, I talked about how most likely it was hinting at Shu was eating ghouls. Well, it's clarified now, Shu is eating ghouls. He's eating humans and ghouls. It doesn't matter. He's eating them both. And he is now slowly gaining a Kakuja. And that explains why that big bulk all on top of Shu we saw in last chapter that was covering him, that is a Kakuja. It's slowly forming. So, Shu might already be long gone. And judging since we're getting into a Shu arc, I want to assume that Shu is probably going to break the boundaries of his family. For instance, as the father says, like, judging by the bloodline and history of our family, it's impossible to get, full Kakuja, according to the father. And I'm going to assume Shu is probably going to overcome his bloodline's limitation and probably be able to get a full Kakuja, because when he sees Kaneki, he's probably going to break through his insanity. He's going to be like, Kaneki-kun! He's going to be something like that. So, that's my theory right there. So, let's move on to the next page. I think that's very self-explanatory. I really think... Oh, actually, whoa. I want to back up real quick. In the page, like the first page, okay, there is... Okay, pardon me, but that looks like some form of Jewish star, if I'm correct. It looks like it. I could be wrong. Like the 8-pointed star. And that is on Shu's father's carpet. So, is this telling me, or is Ashita trying to let us know that maybe Shu's father's Jewish? Like, is that what she's trying to tell us? I could be wrong, but I don't know. Ashita's like that. He'll put a symbol down, and it's symbolism, and it has, like, some form of meaning to the chapter. So, I don't know. You never know with Ishida. You never fucking know. So, I'm just throwing that out there if you did not actually notice that in this chapter. It's on the first page, first panel. Okay, so let's carry on to the next parts to talk about. And then we move on into the CCG meeting, talking about the Roswald family. Roswald, it's a German type name, but I'm just going to call it Roswald. They're talking about Shu's family. Fuck, okay? They're talking about Shu's family. And they're pretty much saying, like, they found a connection with, the recent auction raid they just did. They found a connection with some Kagane, and as we know, Kanye was there when he attacked. That's who they're linking it to. They say that this person is maybe not a direct descendant, but like a distant descendant that carries their blood, and so obviously, cousin-related stuff like that. It kind of shows you that Kanye and Shu are not brother, like they're actually cousins or something, or far distant cousins, because from, the beginning of the chapter, it lets us know that the family's been, inbreeding, that they've been fucking inbreeding. So for Shu, Kanye and Shu not to be that closely related, like over 50 fucking percent, it goes to show you that there's something else going on there, obviously. So, moving past that point, I think that's pretty self-explanatory as well. That's the next objective we're getting into, and as I've talked about a couple chapters back, that we're probably getting into a Shu arc. And this entire panel right here with this discussion kind of clarifies that we are getting into a Shu arc. So, hot damn. I'm glad, because Shu's one of the best boys of the series. I'm glad he's getting an arc, because that means that he's eventually going to get back into this fucking series and start doing harmony! We get into Ogiri Tree's conversation. They're talking about the aftermath after the auction. After their dual raids, what they were doing, with CCG attacking them on two different fronts. You have it to where Tatura, he comes in and he's starting to talk to, Ogiri Tree, like the kind of little bit of the higher-ups, or, the main cast that we've got to know and love from Ogiri Tree. Tatura starts talking to him, and you have it to where they have a huge disagreement. They're saying, like, pretty much, to get cold cut simple, they're like, we need to go save Hinami. Like, we need to go fucking save her, and she's locked up. Like, right now, Hinami's locked up in a Ghoul prison. And you have it to where they want to go save Hinami. I mean, Ayato wants to go save, and a couple other ghouls want to save Hinami at this moment. But we kind of find out the ghoul security has improved quite a bit. According to, a couple of Ogiri Tree members, they're saying that this dude, Haizaki, he's increased his security since he has arrived there. It's grown a lot more. It's like almost impossible to break into the ghoul prison. So at this moment, it's almost impossible to try to save Hinami. That's what they're saying. And Tatura is pretty much coming out and saying, like, fuck Hinami, we're abandoning her. So, obviously, we get to see some mental state of Tatura in this chapter. Like, we get to find out what type of person he is. Like, a different type of side to him. I mean, we know some of Tatura's character, but we don't know much, because he doesn't usually have a lot of spotlight. And with this, we kind of find out that he treats everybody like pawns. He doesn't give a shit. Like, they were talking about Jason. Ayato was talking about Jason and Min and stuff. And he's like, yeah, they're fucking pawns. They're like, cowards. They're stray dogs. I can cast them aside. Fuck them. That's pretty much what he's acting like, and that's what he's saying. And he's like, we can cast Hinami aside, too. Even though she was very good and she has a lot of talent, he's casting her aside. So they're just completely giving up on Hinami. They don't give a rat's ass about her. But obviously Ayato does care, because he has a flashback right after that, which goes to show you the connection between Hinami and Ayato, which confirms a couple of things. For one thing, there has been a lot of talk and a lot of shipping. Like, I know for a very long time there has been this shipping about Ayato and Hinami, because they're around the same age. If you did not know, yeah, Hinami and Ayato are around the same age. And I know there's been this vast amount of shipping and pairing to those two since the ending of part 1. I've heard all about it. And you have it to where Eto, she actually says in the flashback, like, oh, love at first sight. So, obviously, they are probably going to become some form of couple. Or Ayato really deeply cares for Hinami. Like, he really cares. So, judging by the way it's going, he's probably going to go after Hinami. He's probably going to try to go break Hinami out, which is going to be fucking bad. Makes me think about what's happening to Banjo right now. I mean, so, besides that, let's talk about some of the things that's going on here, like with this flashback, or right before the flashback to get back on point. You see Ayato surrounded by flowers. Now, I don't know exactly what the flowers are. I can't make the flowers out, but if we know Ishida enough, as I talked about in my last fucking review of Tokyo Ghoul, majority of the damn chapter review I focused on was on damn flowers. And it had a lot of meaning to the chapter. And you see, how Ayato, he's surrounded by flowers by himself. He just looks around. I'm guessing the flowers might be symbolized as loneliness or something. I don't know, because I can't make out the flowers. I'm not a flower expert, so fuck. Okay, forgive me. But they didn't give me a title name to the flower, so I can't go research it. But point is, it still stands that I'm assuming the flowers stand for loneliness or someone that's looking for their deep love or something like that. I'm assuming. Oh yeah, there was a funny comment. I want to do a quote for quote right now that Pineapple Mater, Sato made about the argument between Totara and Ayato. Here, I'm going to do quote for quote right now. You see, seeing ghouls actually caring for each other is so hilarious it makes me want to eat some sweets. Tasty. Fun. Fucking Sato, man. Oh my god, dude. Like, straight up. That's so fucked up and so sad. It's so funny, but I know it's fucked up. Like, we all know that's fucked up so much. Like, right there, that is so sad. It's so sad, but it's so funny. Just the way he says that, he's like, it's so funny seeing ghouls care for each other so much, and it makes me want to eat sweets. Just like, fuck. It's just, Pineapple-kun, too damn good. I love him. I really love Pineapple so damn much after, this previous arc we went in. Just to see how he acts, and especially what he says here. He's just, like, fucking laughing his ass off. Oh, yeah, and speaking of that, like, right after that, the artwork, like, right here. Like, oh my god, I want to show you this artwork. Look at that artwork. I don't know if you can make that out or not. Look at that artwork of Pineapple. That is fucking crazy, dude. Like, this is what he says. He's like, Hinami went to stop you. No. He says, she went to save Sasaki. So right there, Pineapple is just messing with Ayato. He's like, yeah, I can play some damn games. I can play some games with you, bro. I can do that type of shit, so... Oh my god, like, Pineapple, man, you gotta love him. You gotta love him, just the way he acts. It's so funny. It's so funny. So, I think I've covered that pretty much enough. I pretty much explained what's going on there. Hinami been captured, they're giving up on her. Pineapple's, laughing his ass off. They're looking at, everybody's pawns and stuff like that. It makes me wonder what Totara thinks about Eto, because I know they have some form of connection. I wonder what Totara feels about Eto. Just, do you think of her like a pawn, or... I have a lot of questions about that. I highly doubt he thinks of Eto like a pawn, but I still wonder. Because that makes me really question what's going on there, especially with how he says something like that. Like, what drives him so much, like, to think of everybody like pawns? You'd think he would have respect to his fellow ghouls, but... Anyways, let's move on to the Hinami segments. That was with Sasaki. That's some really big stuff and deep stuff going on in this chapter. So, to get to the point-blank stuff, like, to be straight with you, we come to find out that Hinami, she's locked up, which I've already said in this chapter review, and we kind of already knew. She's locked up in prison. Sasaki is interrogating her. He's trying to get as much information as he can out of her. And she's willingly giving information out. From what we can see, she's giving out information to Sasaki like it's nothing. She doesn't give a shit. Like, I think she's come to terms, and I think she already realizes that nobody's coming to save her. I think she already knows that. I think she does. And that's probably why she's acting like she is. But at this moment, though, you could see this face of sadness on Hinami. You can really see it. Like, she's hiding it really well, but you do see a panel in this chapter to where she kind of hides, like, a frown. Like, she has a frown, but she hides it to where she wants to, like, hold back tears. Like, you can see she's holding back tears of sadness with some of these panels. And it makes me really sad to see her like that, because she's looking at someone that's like an older brother, like her Ani-chan. She's looking at Sasaki like that, and she's already realized that Sasaki is not Kaneki. She knows that, and she even states that. But she says that Sasaki is very similar to Kaneki, in which we already know that, too. As the reader, we already know that, because Sasaki, he's kind of like a human side of Kaneki. He kind of is. He's like mixed traits of the human side of Kaneki. And to see how Hinami picked up on this, and then looking at how this chapter is displayed, like, she says, like, Kaneki, my Ani-chan, gave me a book. when I was feeling down and depressed and stuff like that. He gave me a book, and I remember that. And Sasuke does the exact same thing. He gives Hinami a book. Sadly enough, the book is in Japanese. I can't read Japanese, so I don't know what the book says on it. Probably some form of symbolic meaning to that book. I wish I could fucking read it. If anyone can translate that little scribbled Japanese on that book that was in this chapter, please, because I would like to know what that book says, because I know books in this series also foreshadow events of Tokyo Ghoul. But getting back on point, thing is, okay, the book that Sasuke gave Hinami, it was kind of to symbolize that some form of Kaneki is still there, but it's already well apparent that Sasuke and Kaneki are two different people, but some traits are still there, especially in Sasuke. And Sasuke, in this chapter, he has this feeling of loneliness, and you can see these traits that he had in part 1 of Tokyo Ghoul before he became white-haired Kaneki. You see a lot of similar traits he had in Sasuke, especially with the chapter when he starts looking at, Hinami trying to pity her and trying to figure out ways he can help her. And it also is very tragic when you go to figure out that when we first met Hinami as, a little girl, a long time ago in part 1, Kaneki saved her with Toka. They saved her. And to see how she's in this situation like she is now, kind of in reverse roles, and, he's an investigator and stuff like that, it's very tragic. So moving on to the final part I want to talk about when it comes to this chapter of Tokyo Ghoul, we get to see a new Ghoul investigator introduced, and supposedly this dude that was introduced in this chapter is in Tokyo Ghoul Gel. Like, it's a game that recently got announced to Tokyo Ghoul, and he's on the cover of this game. So I'm guessing Tokyo Ghoul Gel is canon. I don't know, we'll probably won't get to play the game, but I'm assuming the game is canon because this dude was introduced, and he's on the cover. Thing is, I want to talk about something very specific about this dude that was introduced. He wears a hat, and he has this weird fucking Frankenstein stitching going on in his face. Like, his face is stitched up. It's like patchwork. And he has a hat. I went back, and I looked on the Wiki. Like, the Wiki of Tokyo Ghoul. And I looked up the V organization. If you don't remember V, you should remember V. They fucked with Owl. The old man Owl. They fucked with him in the past. With his wife and all that. Remember that? If you remember that, you should know V's like one of the main villains of the series. Obviously, it's going to be like one of the main things off in the distance. Are probably going to be one of the main villains, besides Clown. And this dude that was introduced in this chapter at the end, he walks into Sasuke, and he puts his hand on his hat. Like, let's see, he uses his left hand, and he puts his hand on his hat like a V. And if you look at the introduction, go to the Wiki and just type in Tokyo Ghoul V Wiki. And you will see V's picture. You'll see the exact same position with V's organization members putting their hand on their hat in the exact same way as the dude at the end of this chapter. If you don't believe me, go check it for yourself. So I'm willing to bet, I'm willing to place money that this dude that was introduced at the end of this chapter is probably someone related to V. Most likely. It's very, very, very obvious. I could be wrong, but it's very obvious. This dude is very fucking shady. So that's about it. I think I've covered everything. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.